Yes, it worked. It works. I was like, I haven't done this for a while. Yay. Good
Great,
evening, Deb.
Kate. Yeah, nice to see you. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. Very nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining me and all the people that are online this afternoon or this evening now as we sort of turn to dusk. I've got a bit of the sky behind me actually as I sit upstairs in my bedroom. How's your day been, Deb?
Yeah, great. Really good. I mean, I had a busy day in clinic and then actually managed to jump out quickly to the hairdressers. It's so London, right? I managed to get out and get a blow dry and then get back in time for an Instagram live. So great, thank you.
Excellent. Yes, you've just moved to London, haven't you? How lucky for me.
Yeah, and something like that, having lived in a house in a field in the middle of nowhere, just that the actual reality of being able to pop out and get my hair done, and then get it's incredible actually. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying everything London has got to offer, not just the hairdressers.
And the work that you do in the world, well, we're doing a collaboration again. I mean, there's many things that we're going to be doing in our future, and I'm very much looking forward to that. The work that you've brought to my family over the last 7 years. I met Debbie when my son Marcus, and he's just about to turn 8. I met you when Marcus was just 3 months old, and on retreat, you came to one of my retreats, and then over the course of a few more retreats, I got to understand what you do in the world, and the huge positivity that you've made to my family has been immense to the well-being and health of all of us, and through some quite tricky times. So we're talking about immune function, we're talking about immune resilience, if there's such a sort of title to that. We've obviously shifted seasons. It's very obvious that we're now in autumn, although the weather is quite warm actually still, it seems. And I was just curious, what is a functional medicine practitioner? What is it that you do exactly, so people can have a better understanding of that as a baseline before we go elsewhere?
Yeah, brilliant question, Katie. So I run a functional medicine clinic. So there's me, and I have a couple of practitioners that work as part of my team, and we work pretty much online now since COVID. And we really work with a huge spectrum of conditions of people that comes to us. So, we have got, I've got a therapist who works particularly with fertility, but we also work a lot with gastrointestinal disorders, autoimmune conditions, hormonal issues, menopause, perimenopause, children's allergies, eczema, like pretty much everything, mood issues, that everything really. And I suppose the difference about what I do, perhaps different from other types of medicine, is in functional medicine, what we're always trying to do is really understand the root cause of what's going on. And the analogy that we often use in functional medicine is, rather than putting a lid on the boiling pot, suppressing it with something, or even a medication or even a supplement, our job is actually to turn the heat down on the cooker. And so what we're always looking for is, like, what has been causing this? And often with many people that I work with, it's a number of things. It's not just one simple issue. There'll be often a kind of complexity of issues that we're looking at. But I think our job as in functional medicine practitioners is we're a little bit like detectives. We're like, what's going on underneath all of this? And for that reason, the medicine that we practice is actually very specialized, and it's very bespoke to the person that we're working with. For example, we might have somebody come who's got eczema or maybe some type of skin condition, and the way in which we'll work with that could be very different depending on that person's particular genetics, lifestyle, how they choose to eat, but ultimately what's underneath the cause of that. So we're much less interested in sort of diagnosis of stuff and symptoms of stuff, and actually we're much more interested in really getting underneath what's happening to the body and really supporting it on a really sort of foundational level.
Yeah, and I, as a sort of, well, an advocate or a patient, and having seen my family, what I really have enjoyed is the opportunity to go to the root cause of what's going on and unravel from there, like you say, rather than just laying on a band-aid and fixing something, because ultimately it probably might come back again. And so that's been really a revelation, actually, for me and my family, to be able to sort of unpack something on a variety of different levels and see the huge benefit that it has offered. So tell me, I mean, obviously, I think I can sort of feel the answer to this, but why do you do what you do? What other than loving sort of like, you know, the academia and the anatomy and physiology of like unpacking the body at a very detailed level. I mean, I know Debbie very well, and I've had the good fortune to be in your company on a variety of different retreats or occasions where we've really just gone deeply into conversation, quite nerdish like. But why do you do what you do? What does it give you?
I mean, the one kind of first simple answer is I do it because it works. You know, in our clinic now, I've seen well over 1,000 patients in our clinic, and you know, it's continually expanding. And the reason that happens is not because we do tons of advertising, it's because it really works. And I think that for so many of us, our health conditions are kind of chronic lifestyle issues. They're related to the way we live, the way we move, the types of situations we put our bodies in, what we eat, how we treat them. And actually, generally, sort of modern life can actually create a fair amount of deficiencies in how our bodies work. And so people need a more sophisticated answer, I think, than rather than just take this medication. And why I love doing this is because time after time after time, people get results. And as a practitioner, it is so rewarding for me to see that and to be so involved in, you know, we have many families that we work with on sort of multi-generational levels, from grandparents down to grandchildren. And so then that to me really encourages a much more sort of systemic change within families, within communities, where people are actually really taking ownership themselves of their health and what that means, which is why I love the education piece. And, you know, I know you're going to be talking about the Immune Week we're doing together, because for me, you know, although I have a lot of information, I've done a lot of study, I've talked to a lot of people, I do think people actually have, you know, a lot of capacity within themselves to understand how their body works. So part of what I do, which I'm really passionate about, is actually teaching people, because the human body is, you know, I say it's complex, not complicated. And actually most people can actually get a really pretty good understanding of things that they, you know, normally would think is really difficult. So for example, like the immune system, I know we're going to be like breaking this down, and I love that teaching piece, because I think when you give people information and knowledge, they're then much more able to really filter through the information that they can read on the internet, or they can pick up in books, or they can start to understand and learn themselves how to individualize the choices that they make, and not just rely on, you know, I get lots of emails like, I've read this about this, is this true, should I do it? And I'm like, well, it might be true, but is it true for you based on what we know about your body? And so that is a really exciting piece for me, is to be offering this information to people so that it really allows them to take back control of understanding their bodies and really how they work.
Yeah, I know for a fact, having worked with you on a variety of different levels, and obviously we ran this Immune Resilience Wellness Week last year, and it's upcoming in October. And the empowerment piece of being able to give people complicated information but making it succinct and accessible is such a revelation for
Yeah.
people to be able to be empowered, to be able to go, I can do this, this and this is going to help me create more of a strength, a balance to just how I approach my life and my body's you know, results in that, of just feeling more well, a well of being continually, which is what I'm starting to feel a lot of now, which I'm so grateful, because I know absolutely, like you say, it's systemic, it runs through my family now. And having met your daughter the other day, it's like, you know, well, you know, what would mum say? And it's so lovely to hear, you know, how it sort of, it flows down now through the generations. And I know both my parents have come to see you as well. So yes, super interesting. Tell me, Deb, at this time of year, obviously there are a change of seasons coming up. We're going into autumn or in autumn, and eventually down the line we've got winter. What kind of changes do you see in your patients at this time of year? What do they present as? Because obviously what I see for my family is, you know, more abundant health, unless there's something underlying, which I've been addressing for particularly Marcus. But I see the summertime, there's heat, it kind of can almost like burn away the viruses, in my very layman's terms, that I want to see heat in the body, so there's less illness to be out there. And so I'm making up a story that things change then during these months. I mean, there's more colds at school, you know, there's a sort of fast track of things going around. So what do you see when the you know, seasons shift like this in this country particularly, or in Europe where the seasons shift?
And I know, although my children are a lot older now, I always remember this, you know, this autumn term going into school. It just felt like a sort of series of like coughs and colds and runny noses. And you know, I think that we also, although as you say, it's kind of quite light now, the kind of changing darkness and the changing of light actually has quite a significant impact on our circadian rhythms. You know, we really are quite affected by the changes in daylight, and the fact that it has an impact on our pineal gland, and that changes our circadian rhythm. But the difficulty is that actually this, for many people, is an incredibly busy time of year, you know, particularly people with skills and getting back. You know, people have often spent a lot of time outdoors and now they're indoors again. They've been quite active and now they're not. There's definitely a sort of feeling when the seasons change like this that we kind of do less, we go out more, we tend to kind of reach a bit more for like the carbohydrates and the sugars and the comfort foods. We put our central heating on, our metabolism shift. So there are sort of many reasons, I think, why this time of year our bodies, you know, we start to really notice some of those shifts in how our immune system's functioning. And I think the problem can be, and that's why, you know, I'm really interested and I've always enjoyed your approach to the sort of physical practices of yoga, because actually in maintaining some kind of movement for the body and actually doing those very strengthening poses that we do in yoga, we can actually physiologically impact some of our organ systems that actually really help us, keep us warm, or keep our hormones cycling, or, you know, keep our immune system strong and stimulating our thymus. So these physical practice can really have an impact on it. The other thing I hear is people spend, you know, they will drop me emails and they're like, how can I boost my immune system? You know, that's the concept. How do I boost my immune system? Should I be taking vitamin C? Should I be doing this? And, you know, we've got lots of ideas, or we can find lots of things online in terms of supplementation that we can take. And I do use a fair amount of that, you know, like there's definitely a place for those things. But in terms of really supporting our immune systems, I think so much of this is lifestyle based as well, not just about piling on the supplements. And so that's one of the things I talk about in the Immune Week, is we're focusing on these really core things, which is managing our stress, supporting our sleep, maintaining our movement, really focusing on our gut and our microbiome, taking stress off our body in terms of the types of foods we're eating. These are all really fundamental things we can do to help our immune system. And I think when we think more broadly than just sort of supplements we take, it's because we are having more of an understanding of like, what on earth are we actually talking about when we talk about the immune system? And along with this education piece that I'm offering, I really want people to get an understanding of like, what are we talking about when we talk about immune system? Like, what is that? What is the immune system? And I love to talk about it almost being like the, one analogy is it's like, you know, the special forces. It's like having like the army and the navy and the air force and the Marines, you know, but if you've got a fire, you might not want the Marines turning up. And if you know, like if you need a lifeboat saving, you don't necessarily want the fire brigade coming. And the immune system's like that. It's everything in the right place at the right time. So when people come and go, can I boost my immune system? The first thing is like, I'm like, let's talk about what the immune system is, you know, and how does that work? And when we understand how it works, then we can find more specific interventions and understand why they would work, and really start to support our bodies in a much broader perspective, rather than like, you know what, you just need to take like 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day and all will be well, because it's a little bit more than that, you know. And I think we know that. So I spend a lot of time this time of year in clinic really talking about what does the immune system mean, and how does it work, and how does it function? And then if we understand that, how can we help it?
So in the Wellness Week that we're offering from the 16th to the 22nd of October, and I'll talk briefly about that at the end, but you offer 2 recorded videos that are about 20 to 30 minutes long. The Wellness Week is online, it's live, part recorded, and you can watch it until the end of November, in fact. So you don't necessarily have to join us live, but you do 2 recorded videos. So you give a great deal of content in those videos, but the brilliance of Debbie is that she's able to make the complicated very simple. Not an easy task, because it is complicated, the immune system, but you do go into this of how it works, basically. So it's not just a band-aid of take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C.
Yeah, exactly. And then it then moves into like, what can we then do about it? And that's where like our yoga practice come in, our breath work, things we can do in terms of supporting our diet, how we can shift those pieces. So, you know, we kind of get a good chunk on like, what are we talking about and how does it work? And then what can we do about it? And they're available for people to kind of like go over as many times as they want to during the time it's available. So it's a really nice resource, and I know hopefully people find it really interesting. I mean, I think it's really interesting.
Me too. Me too. Tell me, what's one thing that people can do, or the easiest thing that people can do to support their immune function, basically? Something for people that are listening now.
So my easy golden nugget win that my, you know, any patient that's seen me in clinic, the moment they come into me in September, the one thing I always ask them to do is to get their vitamin D checked. It's the most simple thing that anybody can do to actually really support their immune system in such a sort of systemic way, and it's so easy to do. The thing about vitamin D is, although we think about it as a vitamin, it actually behaves more like a hormone. So it's a messenger, essentially. It's a fat storable messenger that stays within the tissues of our body, as many people know, is kind of built up in response to sunlight. And what vitamin does is it is essential not only in supporting osteoporosis and bone density, but actually really meaning that the immune system can work properly and effectively. That one simple intervention is the first thing that I do with people. You know, come with some, anybody that comes into my clinic, I'm going to check it. But even the patients I've got already, we always check it in September. The thing about vitamin D, it really is a like test, don't guess. You cannot tell what your vitamin D levels are like without testing them. I have many people, they're like, I've been out in the summer all day, and you know, like I'm gardening all day and I've exposed myself to the sunshine. There is such a lot of variability genetically in how we actually produce it. There's huge variability in how sensitive our receptors are. So I'm like, test, don't guess with vitamin D. And there are kind of 2 really easy ways to do that. One kind of company is called Better You, no affiliation with them at all. People can find that quite easily online. And then there's another website, which is www.vitamindtest.org.uk. And that's www.vitamindtest.org.uk. And that's the NHS hospital in Bristol. And the beauty of that one is that you can get children tested through that as well. A lot of these online testing companies won't do under 18s. And they're pretty simple finger prick tests. You know, if you can persuade your little one, my poor children have done it many, many years, a couple of little blood spots on a piece of paper, it's like about under £30. So what you're going to be looking for is for your vitamin Ds to be up around 100 is a really, really good level for that. So that's just such a simple thing to do, and it's really a no-brainer for most people. Even if you think you have had a lot of sunshine exposure this year, it's definitely worth doing.
That's really interesting, because, you know, I know many people that will say, well, I've been out in the sunshine loads, so I've got really good vitamin D levels, knowing that they're not in your realm and your work. And I'm like, okay, well, I believe that. But like you say, it has many factors to know whether it's doing the job that it's supposed to be doing to support immune function, basically.
That's my kind of quick, easy win. You know, it's always something simple we can do, and it has really profound, significant effects on the whole of the physiology of the immune system. It's so powerful. So just, I'm like, no brainer, just get it done.
Yes, exactly. Well, I would say my one, and I'm not going to unpack this greatly because we're only here for a short amount of time chatting and just to welcome people into listening to the conversation. But stress is the piece for me that I was astounded about surrounding immune function. And, you know, a stressful lifestyle, whether it's a speedy lifestyle or a stressful lifestyle, really does, you know, deplete the system greatly and lowers immune function. So in yoga, obviously the breath, the long, full, slow exhalations, even if it's sitting, you know, on a journey, I'm traveling in and out of London today, going on the tube. So I'm really focusing on my breath. It's quite busy. I'm not used to being on this sort of crowded feel, and so I've been really focusing on slowing my breath down and giving myself enough time to get from A to B, so I'm not rushing and I have that sense of anxiety to get somewhere. And so it's not necessarily a sort of yoga pose, let's say, because not all of us have the time to lie down for, even sometimes we say we're a little time starved to do legs up the wall for 10 minutes or sit for 10 minutes. But, you know, we're often on the go somewhere, and just focusing on the breath and giving ourselves just that little bit extra time to get from A to B, not rushing, is, again, style choice, actually. And I've really paid attention to that. Try and into a different way to kind of keep my nervous system in check, which is really, I'm sure, going to help dramatically at this change of season. We do talk, and you do talk extensively about that inside of this wonderful week that we're doing together. So it's a live an online course. It starts on the 16th of October, which is in just over a week's time. It's Sunday, the 16th of October. And I'm offering a live 2-hour yin and yang class based around the immune system's function, or at least using yoga technique to help stabilize, if that's a word that we could use, or at least just give some knowledge surrounding it of why I've chosen the poses. And then during that following week, there's 2 recorded chats from Debbie, and there's also 2 or 3 recorded yoga and sounds from me, as well as a nidra, I believe, a yoga nidra. And then Debbie, in the middle of it, you're offering a Q&A for people on the Wednesday evening live for an hour, where people can literally just be asked Debbie anything, which is, you know, really cool. Last year we did this, and there was such fascinating conversation for that hour of people's comments and questions from that couple of pre-recorded sessions that you'd offered. And then
people
go on.
As I was saying, people could, if they couldn't make the live, they could submit questions, and so I was really happy to answer stuff even if people couldn't turn up on time. Sorry, Katy, I didn't mean to chop over you there.
No problem at all. Yes, it will all be workable, you know, and it's bite-sized chunks. The big pieces are the yoga class on the Sunday, and then the following week on the Saturday, there's an hour and a half yoga class as well. And we do 2 options where you can, for £45, do the whole package and have it available till the end of November to watch it over and over again and enjoy it. Or if you're not doing the yoga side of things, then you can just simply do the recorded and the live with Debbie, and you would miss out on the 16th and the 22nd of October, but still have access to the other content. And it's totally possible. The yoga that I've recorded is totally possible for someone that's completely new to yoga as well. So it's really accessible for lots of people, as well as if you wanted to join the lives to enjoy that if you're a yoga practitioner.
Yeah, and the lives, I've always, you know, I really enjoy them. And, you know, I know some people who joined last year were not kind of super confident about their yoga practice, but they just kind of put them on anyway and had a listen and joined into the bits that they could. Because actually having a group of people, even though it's online together, is a really, you know, it's a really great experience, isn't it? Seeing people coming together and joining. So, you know, I know some people were a little daunted about some of the more physical practices, but I would say don't be, you know, just put it on, run it, listen to it, be part of it. As much, join in as much or as little as you want to.
Yeah, knowledge is empowerment, and this work is really essential for the world that we live in these days, and the extraordinariness and the peace to empower our own life to be able to make different choices rather than be dragged around with just like, oh, we've got to put a band-aid on it because someone else told me that that's what I'm supposed to do. Debbie, I very much am looking forward to working with you again for this Immune Resilience Wellness Week that starts on the 16th to the 22nd of October. It's live and online, so you can join us no matter if you're in Timbuktu or you're in London. And I'll post the details of that at the bottom of this video that will go on to my Instagram page now. All right, Debbie. Well, I look forward to seeing you very soon. Thank you very much, everybody that's joined. You've come in and out, and we really appreciate your presence on this. And do send it on if it's of interest to you. We'd very, very much love to see you and have you join.
Everyone's welcome.
Good. Go well, everybody.
Bye bye, Katie. Bye bye.